So you've probably visited the Android Play Store and thought to yourself, oh boy, now feel like I want to hurl chunks everywhere because this is awful. You wouldn't be too far from the truth, because it is absolutely awful. Gaming on mobile can often be complete and utter despair, condensed into one single tiny device that should bring you joy and pleasure, but instead brings you nothing but woe. And do you want to know why? Well, you've come to the right place, because this is the top 7 reasons why phone games are awful. Because if I just said they suck, YouTube may have demonetized this video again. This is a show where I try to explain to everyone exactly why mobile games are for the most part failures. Not all of them, of course. There are some exceptions. There are some great games like Monument Valley or Rogue Sweeper, but the majority of them, the overwhelming majority of games on mobile phones, on Android especially, probably iOS too, don't have an iPhone, don't care. The majority of them are saying they don't live up to their potential is like saying that being kicked in the face by a donkey is somewhat unpleasant. That being said, let's get it started with number 7. Some of the best are just ports from better platforms. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't make ports of PC games or console games to mobile, but when you do, you've seen it, the result is usually an experience that is lesser. It's an experience that isn't really as good, as satisfying. You don't have as many options, you don't have as many granular details in terms of graphics and other things. You don't have that same level of freedom as you would with the original version of the game, especially if we're talking about a PC game where you have buttloads more freedom. That is, if we're talking about games that are specifically ported by a company to that platform. If we're talking about emulators, then the story changes a bit, because you are in an emulator, you have a bit more room to maneuver in terms of what options you would want, how you would want the game to look like, how you would want the game to control, how you would want the game to run. But I'm talking just about the stuff you would find on the store. You know, like the Sonic game that doesn't run even at 30 frames a second, but is somehow being sold. Or the Rayman game, which Ubisoft ported to mobile without the option of using a gamepad, a Bluetooth gamepad, you know, a sane way to control a Rayman game, whereas the version on every other platform had a lot more freedom. Number 6. 80% of them are the same game, or they have the same icon. There's a trend that's been going on in these kind of games for a couple of years now, where they all have the exact same icon. And I mean the exact same icon, with some guy screaming. It's like that thing with the comic books where they once had a gorilla on a cover, and for unknown reasons that comic sold a bazillion copies. And since then they've added gorillas in comics for absolutely no goddamn reason for the past 70 years. It's not the icon that's making people buy games, it's that maybe one of them turned out not to be complete crap, or at least had enough marketing to trick people into thinking they're not complete crap, which usually is what happens. And it's not just the icons that are the same, but the games themselves are the same. You will find the same faux management game where you basically have no actual challenge and no opposition. You'll find the same match 3 block game you've been playing since Jules on the NES from 1990. You'll find the same war games where you build a couple of buildings in pretty fine places and then wait a bunch of time and then build a few more and then attack maybe something that the game lets you attack when you are allowed to attack it. You'll find a million Flappy Bird games. You'll find a billion, tetrabajillion, quazillion horrible platformers that aren't even platformers. You'll find clickers unbound. You think with a platform that's got an install base so large there would be more creativity, but no, there's just cash grabbing, and cash grabbing to the point where if there's any creativity, it's being drowned in the absolute horrid sludge and putrid stench that is the Android Play Store. A horrible, horrible system that routinely just distributes malware. Number 5. Controls. Now, you would think that a touch screen would be a superb method of actually controlling one of these games. Any kind of game. I mean, you basically point at the screen and stuff happens. It's simple, it's banal, it's the easiest thing to do possibly. Then how come we get games that are so incompatible with this control scheme that you need an external controller, a gamepad like the ones I've presented to you over the years, to actually play them properly? And when we get games that you can play just by tapping the screen, 90% of them are just QuickTime event based games. Games that virtually have no actual gameplay. I mean, you'd think that a mobile platform would be the ideal place to basically make the next great resurgence of the tycoon game, of the strategy game. I mean, you've got a touch screen, you can do anything, you have several fingers worth of detection depending on your device. And yet we're stuck with controls that are harkening back to the Stone Age, and games that are tied to control schemes that you wouldn't be caught dead playing on an actual gaming platform, because they mostly stink and bite and blow. But since you're on a mobile phone, you really don't have that many alternatives, do you? Number 4. Microtransactions. Now, in themselves, microtransactions are not evil. Letting a player gain additional content by paying money, that's okay. I mean, most of the games are free, so they have to make their money somehow if they don't use ads and constant pop-ups and make you want to murder everyone. But the thing is, you can't trust mobile games that use microtransactions, because you just know that they have skewed things in such a way that those are not optional. If you want to progress past a certain point, you will need to use those microtransactions. You will have no choice, you will have no alternative. You will have a quantifiably worse gaming experience as time goes on if you refuse to use the microtransaction option. Granted, this isn't a criticism reserved for just mobile games. Every game has this problem, especially when developers get into their heads that, yeah, you know what? I am gonna put a microtransaction option that lets you power to the maximum level just by paying something. Well then, how can I trust you to make the experience of normally leveling up pleasant? You know, fun, engaging, anything other than a slow, tedious, boring, mind-numbingly dull experience? The answer is I can. And I can't because developers have constantly showed us that we can trust them when they attach a real-life cost to progression, a real-life cost to gaining power in a game. They will always skew it for profit because they have to make money somehow. Granted, if it's a game that you have to buy in the first place for $60, they're being complete assholes and probably owned by Activision or Ubisoft. But that's another matter. Number 3. Enslavement to the toilet. One of the reasons that mobile games suck is they are built first and foremost for short playtimes. They are built so you can play them while you go to the toilet. That's why you get games that you play for 2 seconds, 2 minutes, and then don't need to. That's why you get games that are shallow as, well, I would say Skyrim, but no, Skyrim is actually deeper than most mobile games. This enslavement to the toilet, to the average time a person has while they're on the crapper, is what is setting most mobile games back, because the majority of them are built for that gaming time in mind. And the worst part here is that they're not wrong. Most people use their mobile phones or those archaic things called tablets, which are now dead, while they're on the toilet, while they're going to work, going to school, coming back, on a break, during lunch. But when they want a more engaging experience on that device, they are really hard pressed to find it, especially in the sea of sludge and absolute crap from which there is no escape. Number 2. The Google Play Store itself. It is a horrible atrocity committed against humankind, against the industry, against games as an art form, against anyone that is ever going to live on this planet. It is something built out of sheer spite and hatred by people who do not understand this medium, by people who just do not care. They absolutely do not care. Oh sure, it's a place that anybody can post anything on, like malware. But at some point you kind of have to stop and think to yourself, maybe we should try and at least push to the forefront the stuff that isn't shit or malware. It's okay, we can still allow malware on our service like we always do because we're Google, we hate you. But when something good comes out, something that may not even have a gigantic marketing budget that we get paid by to put it up there, to promote it, when something good, something that's interesting comes along, let's raise the bit. Or hey, let's make a category for games that don't have the exact same goddamn icon. Or let's make a section for games that are not horrible pieces of crap that run like absolute ass. Not a Capcom game or a Sega one. The store itself is designed to encourage crap to ferment and froth and bubble out into your face. And it's not going to change. It's not going to be improved because Google does not work like that. Look at YouTube. It's actively discouraging us from making good content. I had a really big, amazingly gigantic show planned for this year, like a multi-part, month-long event. Not gonna do it. It would cost a heck of a lot. We would make $10 on it if we got 1 million views. It's the same thing with the Google Play Store. Unless you have the money to promote yourself up the wazoo and buy fake reviews, there's no chance. There's absolutely no chance. Well, unless you become a meme, in which case you may as well change your name to Arako's The Doom of Mankind, because that's what you'll be. And number 1 is basically Farmville. I'm not the first person to point this out. I know I'm not because I got the idea from Total Biscuit. Everything is Farmville's fault. If Farmville and its ilk on Facebook had not popularized the genre before mobile games were completely ruined, we could probably now have been in a new golden age of mobile games. One that we had not seen since Tetris. An age where you would have amazing gaming experiences in your pocket that you could control with a touch screen, that were made to be controlled with a touch screen, that did not feature microtransactions because there were games you could buy directly and you would want to buy them because they were actually good, enjoyable, engaging, made some to be played in very, very short amounts of time, while you were on the toilet. And some epic sweeping arches of adventure and intrigue and story and just amazing, amazing games. But we got Farmville instead. We got click now, then wait 10 minutes unless you buy a diamond to get a cow type games. With no gameplay, no actual challenge, no actual problem solving, no enjoyment. Just a Skinner box where you press a thing, something else flashes to distract your attention and make you believe you achieved something, and then nothing. Nothing is actually achieved. Nothing is gained. Nothing is won. Nothing is lost. Just utter nihilism. Truly, we are at the end of mankind in terms of creativity for mobile games, but they sure make a lot of money from people sitting on a toilet. So closes this edition of Reasons to Take Up Drinking. Top 7 about video games, happy ones, on mobile phones that are awful. A special mention goes out to most of these games being free and therefore there existing no hope for them to actually be good in any way. Because after all, we're not talking about Mud, the free game made by people who wanted to change the world for the better. These are mobile games. They're cow clickers. They're Flappy Birders. They're for the most part bad. But again, there are some few good ones out there, like a single solitary drop of water in an endless, scorching desert of crap.